back to the LEC, where I'm joined by Upset to preview G2 versus XL, two teams currently undefeated. Upset, thank you so much for joining me, and obviously congratulations on your win versus SK Gaming.
Thank you.
So, I'm not gonna ease you into this one because we're starting with your clip, guys, and you're pretty much front, right, center on this one. So right here, we obviously have Fnatic, and their main objective right here is obviously trying to go for the dragon that's spawning very soon onto the map. And what I'm assuming is going on here, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is like your team is pretty much bleeding into enemy territory, trying to regain vision so you can possibly fight on this one. Now, my take usually on Jankos is that you mainly want that mid lane wave, right? This is why you're most likely going into mid lane with Humanoid to push this wave, which goes a little bit wrong because Mickey finds the Winter's Bite on you. So talk to me a little bit behind this fight.
Well, I think this is just like a very basic mistake we did as a team, which probably shows that we have to get back into it a little bit more. And I'm the victim of it because in the communication we are talking about contesting this next mid wave, because basically whoever has mid control, if the dragon isn't spawned yet, is like if the enemy team gives up mid push or has a wave in mid, they can just keep pushing. And
so we're talking about entering through three sides, right?
Well, if no one is contesting this wave.
Oh my god, you can also draw perfect. Okay.
If no one is contesting this wave, then the enemy team could just run down.
Feel free to draw.
If no one's contesting this wave, they could just run down mid if like no one is here. So then you would lose a lot of towers, and it's usually not worth it if it's not like a very important dragon to open mid like this. So everyone should try to get this mid wave together. But we said we're going to contest it, but people are completely in a different position than what they should be when we want to contest, which should probably make me believe that the enemy team can engage on me. But it's also like they don't see us, so maybe if they engage on me straight up, we can win the fight. But I think they're just stronger if they engage. So even if we're hiding somewhere, they are still happy to take the fight. And our Zinza was probably doing Grump at this point. And I wasn't aware because we were talking about contesting it, and Mickey just jumps in and hits a really nice Q, predicting my movement, and yeah, now it's just fucked. Now we're in a bad spot. I probably should not even use my summoners. And yeah, it was a bad situation.
Okay, so we're talking about in-game communication, right? We need to contest this wave, but everyone was on a pretty different page. Now, I'm gonna take you onto a team that you have played a lot against, you have a lot of experience against, and that is G2 and how they break up the map and how they try to contest for dragons, right? Because there was two different cases. You guys were trying to break the dragon, communication didn't work. This is now G2 trying to stop Rogue from taking Soul. So as we can see on the map, there is vision pretty much everywhere. They have one ward on the top side, they have one at the blue, they have pink this bush, they have one over here, and of course they have the scuttle crab. So if we look on the side lane as well, we've got Broken Blade pushing in that wave, we've got the rest of G2 pushing in the mid wave that you told us is so important as well, right? And they have this plethora of vision in the jungle. So Rogue, what do Rogue have to do? What would Fnatic have to do here to break that line of vision and try to get towards that dragon?
Well, it depends when dragon spawns. Usually the most standard place to just group on mid wave, because it's a little bit harder to get flank. And like I said, if the enemy completely ignores the mid wave and doesn't contest you on it, you can have the option to go down mid with the wave or even go into Nash if the enemy is like all on the dragon already. What's happening here is more just a mistake by Larsen, I think, not knowing he can get caught, or the other way around. No, it looked like it was a mistake by Larsen. This bot wave didn't really matter because there won't be any case where they will be pushing for the inhib. So basically what Rogue is doing right now is exactly what you're supposed to do. What we wanted to do as well, but we were not in position, but they were just grouped up, went down mid, and then they enter as a group because they also have a teamfight comp where no one really wants to flank. Maybe if somebody wants to flank, somebody could be side and trying to sneak in and get a good position. But they have like very standard control, not control match, but on with Aphelios comp, so they just push mid and you can see they enter.
Also, it's really cool to highlight in general right here that every time Rogue were in vision, G2 would take something from it. Everybody, 3 members showed here, then Broken Blade would instantly take the fight onto Larsen on the side lane. Now that they have moved all in mid lane, you saw Jankos suddenly, he walked up here, he took this vision around this area. So constantly G2 are searching and thriving onto vision, and of course after this, because Rogue have to walk in and group up, Jankos finds the R button with the Diana Yasuo combo, of course, and then 100% to 0 comp, which is a really sad for AD carries as an AD carry yourself upset. And this is the story behind this one. Thank you so much for joining me. And of course, you're going to be joining us on the desk as well.
Yeah.
For
come over here.
A lot more chats. Maybe picks and bans, I was told.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing, the light went out, so I don't know what we were trying to do there. I love that breakdown on both sides. I would try to get out of, because I understand you want to focus on what went wrong for you versus Excel in that clip. But is this something generally that you found that Excel is good at and Mickey is good at, particularly finding those windows?
Yeah, I think Mickey and Hilly are really similar in that both of them are very good at engaging on somebody who seems to be out of position. And in this clip, the way we played it, I was the one out of position because I didn't realize we were all contesting it. And yeah, it was just really well played, especially considering team compositions. We were supposed to snowball early game, but things didn't go well at all in the early game for us. And then they felt very free to just go face first and engage on us, especially with playing Brome plus Kalista against Draven. Later on, they have very good engage there. And yeah.
Yeah, it speaks both to kind of the compositions that they run, but it seems also in the confidence that they're bringing onto the Rift. They do seem like, okay, at the end of last split, XL was also really good, but this seems like a new XL, even though it is the same. How have you, or why do you think they have come into the split so strong comparatively to some of the other teams?
I think a big part is probably that they took a Korean bootcamp and scrimmed like 3 weeks in Korea and then came to EU and also scrimmed. So they are just more prepared. I think they have a better read on the meta than most teams. So at least from watching their pick and ban, it seems like they are very comfortable in what they want to play and have like a good idea, which kind of caught us off guard as well yesterday a little bit in the draft, I think. So yeah, I think they're just already a step ahead in terms of being good as a group, which is really advantageous when it's the start of the split, of course.
Yeah, it's kind of logical as well, right? But I guess you give up the rest that you could have in the middle of the season in between for going to Korea and bootcamping and then getting all that knowledge from there. We see G2 here. Yesterday they played an insane draft upset. What did you think of G2's draft, and can we expect that again today?
Well, it's very conditional on the enemy approach to draft. That there's a Swain bot is more likely because of the Senna. I mean, you can also play it without the Senna with a normal support, but I think because it was Senna and because Taragamas likes to play a lot of different champions, which includes Swain, it was picked. And Diana Yasuo's a staple for this team because caPs and Jankos really like to play this combo, it seems. I'm not sure what was banned exactly. And then Yon is just Yasuo's brother, so he had to show up.
Yeah, I mean, they have some bad blood, but we won't talk about that.
One killed the other, but it's fine.
It's fine. So we did talk to Broken Blade in PGL yesterday, and he was saying how he loves scrimming XL, and they have a really good scrim relationship. Is that going to give us a great game then, Trouble?
Probably.
Hopefully.
Because if they love scrimming each other, you usually want to play a lot against each other.
Broken Blade loves scrimming them. I don't know.
Exactly. So I want to ask Upset after this one as well. I feel like they're going to give us a banger because Broken Blade loves playing against Finn, I'm assuming, and Excel as a whole. So I hope they give us a really fun top lane matchup. But coming into scrims, when you really enjoy playing against a team and you think you learn a lot from them, do you actually request to play more scrims further down the line with them?
Yeah, I think if a team plays like really bad in scrims, usually you don't want to book them again if you have other options. And the same goes if you feel like a team is giving you quality games, which is rare, usually.
Oh, no.
Of course, it's really nice to keep them as a scrim partner and book them as much as you can.
Yeah, Broken Blade also was talking about how do you keep kind of your level up if you're doing so well. And I think this is something that goes for you guys as well, because you had a really good spring season. But sometimes it's hard to find, I guess, things to improve on if things are going so well. Do you struggle with that as well?
No.
No?
I don't think
there's always something to work on.
I don't think we're doing that well that we struggle to find things to improve on. I mean, I feel me and Tilly definitely reached a point where we played like really, really good. And I think at some point you get like kind of used to it, and I think we need to put ourselves in more uncomfortable situations to find like more ways to improve on and not just be like happy playing like good. We should be like really, really good, and I think that's a thing we can fall into as a duo. But for the team, I think because we are like still kind of a new team, we played one split together. I think we still have a lot of areas we can get better at.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Of course, that's the ideal outcome, right? And of course, losses is there to improve from. But now we're going into this draft. So I think Rogue was a little bit shell-shocked yesterday of the draft, but Excel will have seen that. We have heard through the grapevine that maybe G2 has something special prepared again. But trouble, we always hear that, so...
Yeah, okay. G2 are always coming in with something new and spicy. Now, I don't know if it's new and spicy to G2 or if it's new and spicy concerning the meta that we're in right now, which is not necessarily very basic because people haven't figured it out yet, so they try new things as well. So the Diana Yasuo wasn't so new, but pairing up both the brothers with a Diana was a little bit new, putting the Swain down bot lane as well.
Yeah, upset that again, the bot lane is getting heavily targeted in these picks and bans.
I think right now in bot lane there's so many different things you can play, so it's a lot about preference. Here you can see like Kalista, Draven are probably to set up Illusion first pick because these champs make the game very volatile, and it's kind of the same for Yuumi but in the opposite way. If the game is not volatile enough, then probably the Yuumi side will win. So they are setting up their first pick Lucian with 3 champs here. The Yone is probably just a target ban because they are not really so comfortable in the matchups as Broken Blade is in them. Also, the Senna ban is just a champ that G2 was playing well, I think, and also Terragamas loves to play a lot of champs, so it just brings flexibility. The Lucian first pick is very standard in this meta. It's basically banned on red side or first picked on blue, but this is an interesting twist to it because they end up picking the Nami way, which is like the combo, but usually you don't want to blind pick Nami on bot, especially because the Lucian in theory could be flexed, so it could be a Nami going completely blind into the draft. But Mickey usually is really good at playing the range champs, which is also why they, for example, first pick Yuumi and stuff. So it's nothing too crazy. I think there's a lot of twists with Solution, like trying to counter it with scaling, like the Yuumi, trying to counter it with Draven Kalista, or taking the Nami away. So I'm really curious what they're going to pair that up with. Wukong, of course, is the most standard jungle champ right now. Basically, also in every draft, either banned or picked. Same for GP, it's just a super good blind pick, doesn't really have many bad matchups, scales really well, has a global ulti. You can't really ask for much more.
Upset, you're an AD carry, and I have a huge question here. Lucian and Zeri, both very big prior picks. We saw the Lucian being picked away. What is his matchup like into a Zeri, for example, here?
I think Zeri does not necessarily have any good or bad matchups, but the champ just scales extremely well. Like, her strong point is not that she takes over the lane necessarily. Zeri Nami, on the other hand, is a interesting combination, and I doubt they will be going for it. So yeah, we also do not know if the Lucian will go bot 100%, because in theory, if Luckett wants to pick something like a AP champ, or I don't know, I think he played Seraphine in the past, or maybe even a Ziggs or something, because the meta is just crazy, they could still switch it up. But yeah, it's hard to say right now.
Yeah, super interesting if it will be a flex or not, and maybe if they find a way to make the life for the bot lane very hard. Now, as you say, that they did first pick the Nami, which could be exploited.
I feel like what is really interesting right here is we have talked about the importance of early game aggression and early game prowess, and they have locked in both the junglers here, both Jankos and Markoon, 2 of the most bloody early game junglers we can have. You know, Wukong sliding in, especially after level 6. We saw Gilius use the Volibear to secure so many objectives in the early game. We even had the tower dive after so long at minute 3 towards the top side of the map. So I'm expecting to see maybe a pretty good pairing in the mid lane, something like a LeBlanc potentially even for caps, or even if he takes the Lucian, like you mentioned, Upset, that is a perma pushing bot lane, and then you can take it and brawl somewhere else.
I mean, Caps definitely is super good at champs like Ahri and LeBlanc too, which match really well with the Volibear, but maybe they want to go for more of a scaling kind of champ on mid, because they have the Lucian AD carry. Right now, enemy blind picked Ezreal Nami, so we could see a Pyke, because Terragamas really likes it, but they could also opt into a little bit more utility for the team, because you don't necessarily have to punish the Nami Ezreal as hard as if you would have to punish a Lucian Ezreal, Lucian Nami, because of course they don't synergize as well. And there's the Ahri, like I mentioned, it has been like one of Cap's staples. And now Terragamas will have a funny champ, which he does always. Carrier played Camille today, I think. So
I mean, Terragamas has a lot to choose from.
Yeah,
seemingly endless.
It's the best part of his day, I think, to have like a champ and smile to himself.
Yeah. The best part of our day as well.
Of course you can also go for range support, because the other range supports also work with Lucian's passive. So even though the Nami is of course the best one with Lucian, Lulu also works, and Nami is not really the best support with any other champs except Lucian. So it's like both AD carries have like a more suboptimal support. But right now bot lane is so much depth in terms of what you can play. So I think it will be very explosive because probably both of them are not super prepared on it. And there you see the Twisted Fate.
Played it on day one as well, Nuke.
You
don't like it?
Twisted Fate is a little bit of a sore spot for me, especially when you have an Ezreal down the bot side of the map. You're like, are you really going to play for the Ezreal lane? Are you really going to play for the Gwen lane that just wants to scale? But Nuke is one of these players that will pick the Twisted Fate no matter what. I feel like if we look on the left side, Jankos and caPs playing the Ahri and the Volley, but they have a lot of brawling potential, right? I feel like whichever stun lands first, whether it's the taunt from the Ahri or the gold card from the Twisted Fate on that 2v2, you have a lot of brawling material right there.
Yeah, Upset, they say obviously draft is always very important, but it's maybe even more important right now. Based on the draft, who do you give the win to?
I think it's very even, but I give it to G2 because I think they have a really dominant mid-jungle 2v2 with Volley by Ahri, and they have shown that they are the best at playing it, so I think they're gonna win.
Yeah, what would be the best way for XL to disrupt G2?
Well, if things go well in mid-jungle, the side lanes matchups seem to be fine, like Gwen seems good, and their bot lane is probably happy too, taking the Nami away. So I think the draft is pretty close, but I just trust G2 a little bit more. But XL has been looking good, so it's going to be an exciting match.
I get it. It's a case
he plays with nameplates on. You see that, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I like the draft, but I give it to G2.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You would favor G2, but XL has been doing phenomenal as well. So I think they have a chance in this one. Amazing drafts. Let's hope for an amazing game, and let's get into this one.
One team's undefeated streak will end today, if you can call 2 games a streak.
You can.
More of a, a small hurdle, a little step
Call
towards
it a walkway.
A walkway?
A street, perhaps,
A street,
rather than
yeah.
a streak.
True.
Will they turn a corner and go a different path?
To
Or will
losing.
or will they continue on their winning ways?
It's a good one, Betty.
Victory Road, perhaps.
It's Betty, by the way, not Cadril anymore, just
Hello.
in case.
We are both British, but we are in fact different people.
That you are. Or was it Cadrelius the entire time, and now you've taken the costume off, and you're Vedius? It wasn't.
It's been a long day, hasn't it, Medic? Yeah.
But man, I've cast a lot of games of League of Legends this weekend. This is my
Shout out to Medic. He's
fourth
been doing
on the day.
the whole day.
I will say, both these teams undefeated. Both of them have played 2 games on the blue side so far. First game on the red side for XL, G2 still on blue, and from MSI we know that blue side always wins, so expecting G2 to go 3-0.
Well, Upset has his vote of confidence towards the G2 side. Yeah, and I kind of agree with him. I think that some of the other things to think about is we're on a very teamfight-focused meta. The first thing I noticed was that there's a lot of single damage across both sides. Of course, the small exceptions are things like the Wukong and the Gangplank ultimate, but it is that GP ultimate that I think really changes a lot in these teamfights because of how much disruption it can provide. And when I saw the Aphelios hovers, I was a little concerned for XL because the low mobility, the relatively short range, depending on what guns he has, can make those teamfights very difficult. And I think that Patrick going for the Ez gives him a lot more flexibility when playing into this. So range, I think, is going to be a big deal, especially once Twisted Fate gets the rapid fire cannon and Ezreal has the poke combined with the Nami. That's going to be pretty lethal when playing around these objectives. And it's going to be on G2 to be able to find those engages, close that gap, and a lot of that responsibility will fall onto Jankos and caPs looking for a flank. So I do very much agree with Upset. I think these comps have a lot of room for skill expression when it comes to the team fights. Neither are as straightforward as you would expect, but already in this early lane phase, XL off to a good start.
You can see Mickey still running the Electrocute on the Nami here, gives you a little bit more lane dominance. The reason we usually see Lucian alongside the Nami is Lucian's passive. When you are shielded, healed, or buffed by an ally, your double auto attacks do more damage, right? So you dash forward, you get the Tidecaller's Blessing from the Nami, you do more damage, and then Nami procs the Electrocute because you're hitting with her buffed up spell. You can still do that on other champions as well. Just because you don't get the extra bit out of the Lucian passive, we can see here Patrick put a lot of hurt down onto Targamas just by jumping in and getting that Tidecaller's Blessing damage out.
Yeah, and often Ezreal lanes are the weak side, but you can actually see how aggressive Patrick can be when paired up with things like the Nami. Nami actually very good at harassing in lane, and we see similar things with Ezreal Karma, for example.
Yep.
A lot of push, a lot of poke, and the problem with Lulu, especially at early levels, is it can be quite difficult for her to really trade back. So XL leveraging the strength of their 2 versus 2 very well, gaining small advantages, but we need to draw our attention to the jungle, and thank you, observers, for highlighting this. Jankos does have a level advantage here. Marcoon going to sneak in.
Looks for the smite, does get it. Still a level down, we'll try and use that movement speed to get away. Jankos realizing he can't chase through the scuttle crab.
But now, with that secured, Marcoon can actually path towards bot because they have the push in mid, they have the push in bot, but Marcoon also recognizes that Jankos can look for a dive in the top lane, so he's decided to stay around even though he does have the level disadvantage.
I mean, Marcoon's been on such fine form these last couple of days. We'll get stunned up. Decoy coming out, though. Finn looking for the chase as well. Ignite on Finn. No flash for him. Jankos and Broken Blade do have flashes of their own to try and get away. Broken Blade will burn his to escape.
Wow. So even though Marcoon is only level 3 to the 4 of Jankos, still able to win out on these exchanges. Finn, with the Ignite, is the biggest deal when it comes to this 2 versus 2. That Summoner Spell difference would have meant that XL have that advantage. But props to XL. I do think that so far in the LEC, they've had the best early game of any team that we've seen, not only in terms of their laning, but in terms of their execution, and the stats back that up. You can see that in terms of their deaths at 14, they are very low. Or, well, I say
middling.
Lower deaths is better for sure, yeah. But extremely high kills, massive gold leads, and G2, they've never really been known for the early game dominance, even going into MSI. This was probably the area with which they were exploited the most. But I think that the growth in terms of XL's early game is something that I expect to see based on the scrims that they were getting over in their boot camp.
Yeah.
Now we have to look at this early gang. Jankos looking for an early kill.
Thundering Roar coming in. Mickey's going to be stunned up. There's the exhaust. Mickey will flash and gets himself out. Patrick, of course, does just have the dash. And going for the Nami there when you know Patrick can arcane shift away makes the most sense.
So Jankos, at the very least, able to force out the summon spells from Mickey. Will be a small advantage gained as TP start to be committed. Caps, of course, not running the TP. Will run the cleanse against the Twisted Fate, which does make a lot of sense. And his back timing there, pretty good, considering you do have that TP disadvantage. Nuke slightly down in CS. So all across the board, still a very even early game. But yeah, props to XL because I want to see them maintain this early game presence that we've been seeing from them. I really do think that it's not only just the way in which they're playing lanes. Obviously, they have a lot of reliable players in terms of the 1v1s and the 2v2s, but the way in which they're leveraging their prio, the way in which they're using early game leads to actually snowball is something we really haven't seen from any team outside of XL here at the LEC. So, and I think that that's really important to have that level of diversity. I don't just want to see a full league relying on scaling and teamfighting to win your games.
XL have been really good at taking an early lead and actually making it into something more substantial as the game goes on. You just have to look at that game against Fnatic yesterday. Although there were moments where it was close, XL really took that game by the scruff of the neck and out of Fnatic's hands. Marcoon off towards the top side here. Both the supports have reset and come towards helping their junglers or their mid laner in the case of Mickey. And for the moment, Jankos still with that level advantage, but Finn catching this wave really wants to be able to get all of this CS, so Marcoon will probably shadow him to make sure he's not died. Broken Blade does have the 6 here. Cannon Barrage going down. Finn doesn't have flash to get away, and he's just going to get stunned up. Finn, too greedy from him. Broken Blade and Jankos will take the kill. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Caps trying to trade onto Nuke Duck. Caps has one more Spirit Rush here. Nuke Duck continues to trade in. Spirit Rush away. Flash for flash could be burnt. Wild Card's about to come off cooldown, but Nuke Duck instead says, well, I don't know where Targamas is. There's the charm. Caps no mana now, though. No Corrupting Potion either for him to get more mana out of this. Where's this flash gonna go? Flash forward from Targamas for the slow. Dodges away. The Ignite is ticking, and Nuke Duck will tick down Targamas with the 2nd kill of the game.
G2 doing a good job of punishing XL's early aggression. The reality here was that Finn did not have level 6. He must have been so close to securing it. But if he had, that fight could have swung heavily in the favor of XL. G2 taking advantage of this very narrow window in order to get that first blood. And on top of that, they found themselves another kill down towards mid lane. Caps interrupting Nuke Duck's ultimate as he tried to collapse in the top lane. Everything going right for G2 in this early game.
And that first Destiny can be a game decider. Obviously, Nuke Duck will have it back off cooldown in about 2/3 of its time, so he does have another opportunity to use it, but if you can shut down the ability of that Twisted Fate to roam around early, it can do a lot of work. Patrick looking with the damage here onto Flacket. Flacket already 6, though. Level advantages across the board for G2 means they are just able to bully out their opponents. Patrick hits 6 as the wave crashes towards his tower.
We are 7.5 minutes in. The Herald literally just spawning. And XL already on the objective. G2 going to go quick back. You have to keep your eyes on Targamas. Look, he's already making his way up towards the Herald, and it looks like Flackard... Okay, for now, he's not doing the same thing, but Jankos, he has full information as to what's going on again. Level advantages here. Broken Blade, level 7. No ultimate just yet.
Nuke Duck looking with the stun here. Finn in a control warded bush, but G2 should have control over this. You can see Mickey trying to work his way up from the bottom side. Both the supports only level 5 right now. Level 6 on either of them could change a team fight. Mickey's going to try and maybe steal some XP from this mid lane. Would love to see how close he is to 6. If you just wait around the corner here, a couple of minions might be enough, but with the amount he's roamed around, yeah, he's still only half the way there.
Targamas also helping push out this wave. But G2, they reclaim control. I was surprised that XL actually went for that, and there's level 6 now for Targamas. So as you already mentioned, G2 with level advantages really across the board. This is going to force XL to slow down. So while we were praising XL's early game, G2 doing a great job for the time being at matching them. And you may look at the scoreboard at the top of your screen, not quite reflective of the actual game state right now.
Is there an echo in the game? Just chrono breaking us?
We will get that rectified as soon as possible. G2 do have 2 kills to 0 right now. They should have a slight gold lead. And caPs doing very well in this 1v1, building up CS advantages and really punishing in the isolated matchup.
You can see Patrick getting an advantage down towards the bottom side, though, as Targamas has been roaming around the map so much. He's about 20 CS up right now, and this will be his second play if he can take it. 400 gold at the deficit there, 200 in the mid lane. Top lane has to be looked at as well, with a slight lead for Broken Blade. Of course, Gangplank makes money passively from just farming minions, as does Twisted Fate, so that balance is one we always have to look at. And it looks like the top board has been corrected for us. So about 1,000 gold between these two teams as we get to the 10-minute mark. Nuke Duck here will spot caPs. Actually, spotted that he was in the bush. Didn't see that he had recalled, so caPs there just chucks an Orb of Deception in case Nuke Duck was still waiting in the wings.
So 10 minutes in, G2 definitely have the kill lead and the early gold lead. Props to them. In terms of scaling, we did hear Upset talking about it earlier. Both compositions relatively close. And I think that, again, I want to bring up the fact that there's a lot of single target damage across the board. It's not that same type of wombo combo that we've been seeing. There's no crazy corky poke as late game. It's not quite the same in terms of that scaling, which means that both teams have a lot of options, I feel. And I think the biggest deciding factors are going to be things like this Gangplank ultimate. How much damage can Patrick land? When will Nuke Duck get his rapid fire cannon to be able to set up for those stuns? Can caPs find a flank? Will Finn actually be able to get on top of Flackhead, who's going to be kiting and has the utility of the Lulu as well? There are all these different variables that can come into play when it comes to these team fights, which definitely makes it an exciting one. And it's largely going to come down to execution of the fights. And to be fair, when you think of G2, a large part of how they were able to win last split was their impressive team fighting. We'll see if XL can match up against that as we get later into the game. Jankos hovering around mid for now. Nuke Duck, no flash.
No one really to follow up on this, though. Jankos maybe just looking for some damage himself. He's going to get caught out as Markoon dives back in. Targamas and caPs are here now, but weren't really there in time to follow up on the initial stun. Mickey's now going to look for the damage onto Flackhead, who dodges away from the Mystic shot, and Patrick and Mickey will use that fact they have Prio down towards this bottom side to push up. Vedi, as we have a moment, do you want to take a guess? Oh, maybe we don't have a moment. The charm's going to hit. Jankos flashes forward. No flash on Nuke Duck. Still Stormbringer going in. Markoon trying to answer, but Jankos turns off the tower. And G2 find their 3rd kill of the game.
Great charm comes out from caPs, and he's looking for another one.
Markoon caught as a double for caPs. On fine form, caPs gets 2 in the mid lane. Rifthold coming down as well, and this should be at least 4 plates, if not the entire tower for G2 at the 12-minute mark.
Impressive performance so far from caPs. He interrupted Nuke Duck's ultimate early on into the game. He finds another charm in the mid lane to set up for Jankos to follow up with the flash, and it is this mid-jungle coming up clutch for G2. They now find themselves with a 3k gold lead.
Have another look at this. And no, Nuke Duck doesn't have flash. The charm, again, just perfect there from caPs.
And Nuke Duck, oh, the tower. The ultimate from the volley bear, mitigating the ability for the tower to do damage. And then caPs securing that kill on top of another charm. He has the support from Targamas, and you have to give credit to G2's support here. Always first on the roam, always first to the play. He has been one step ahead of Mickey so far this game. And here's a large part of how G2 is able to get away to safety after the initial execution. 3k gold lead. And I talked about how G2 not well known for their early game. Well, they are silencing me this one round, shutting XL down very effectively.
3,000 gold ahead against a team that has averaged 3,000 gold ahead themselves. XL really put in the dumpster so far in this game, and Nuke Duck loses his deathless record that he maintained up until today. Only Patrick, Niski, and Armut now remain unkilled in summer season.
A lot of credit needs to go to this G2 roster because they did not get much of a break following MSI. We heard from Broken Blade yesterday on PGL. They haven't had a lot of time to scrim. And my expectations were they would have a slow start to the season. Sure, I still expected them to be good, but I didn't expect them to have this dominant of a performance. But they are looking good first 3 games.
Yeah.
Right now, if they can keep this form up, they're looking to go 3-0 on Super Week of Summer. But XL, of course, not quite out of this game just yet, but a commanding early game coming out from G2. Off the back of caPs and his early game dominance in the 1v1.
And this is where we get to see whether this evolution of the XL roster can play from behind as well. Obviously, in scrims, they'll have been in this sort of situation in the past. We don't know exactly how those scrims have been going for them, but so far, here in the LEC at least, over the last 2 games, they've had commanding leads in the early game. They've been able to close it out from that position. Now, backs against the ropes, G2, 3,000 gold ahead at the 14-minute mark, and XL have to find ways to fight from behind, to find picks, and to stop caPs from doing this.
Problem with losing your mid tower makes it very easy for caPs to look for roams, and he's going to do just that.
Cannon Barrage goes down. Finn, no real way for him to escape. Everfrost is used, but the charm once again connects. And caPs is everywhere.
Yeah, very easy roam from caPs. He pushed the wave all the way underneath the tower. And again, look at Targamas covering the mid lane, roams up towards top, is immediately there. And XL now late on the cross map means that G2 is going to be able to secure that first top tower. Yes, they might end up losing this bot tower. Flak is just going to have to disengage, but it gives so much control. G2 are able to push in this mid wave once again and are in a position to be able to contest this next Drake.
And they will lose this tier 1 in the bottom lane, but as you say, tower for tower and a kill is very much worth for G2. They get the mid lane prio as caPs catches that wave as well, and they can start to collapse. Broken Blade, no TP though, and no Cannon Barrage means he wouldn't be able to join a fight.
It's the big thing. G2 have invested the Ahri ultimate and the Gangplank ultimate. He's going to look to reset now. Actually, looks like he's just going to make his way down. caPs is keeping the mid wave pushed in, making it harder for Nukeduck to join the fray, but he does have his ultimate. But as expected, G2 not going to overcommit without that many resources. The Twisted Fate ultimate comes in for a potential collapse. Actually, XL committing to this.
Blackhead has the cleanse. He's going to try and turn it back onto Nukeduck. Everfrost did get the root down. Nukeduck just walks away, and it's a cleanse out of Flackhead.
All right, I like the proactivity there from XL, but a great response from Flackhead. 1 versus 3. He's able to disengage from that one swiftly thanks to his cleanse, and no kills are given over to XL.
That's actually a big difficulty of playing Twisted Fate into this G2 lineup, right? It's like, okay, we go top with our first Destiny. What happens? Oranges. He gets out of the stun card. Yes, you can Everfrost root to try and follow up, but he has that cleanse ability. And then Lucian, down towards the bottom side, has cleanse. Lulu has polymorph and wild growth. Like, where do you go? Who are you trying to find? The first Destiny didn't work because caPs interrupted it. The second one, he gets the cleanse out, but that's, you know, a couple of minute cooldown and he's back up for Flackhead.
Well, I think the biggest thing about this matchup is Ahri can struggle to get priority against many matchups. She has to invest a lot of mana early on, especially in order to actually contest the wave. And her Q, until she gets a couple levels under it, really doesn't have the best pushing power. But against a Twisted Fate, this is one of the few champions, especially after one of the nerfs that happened to him quite a while back, can actually get that prio, and caPs has done a great job of just pushing, and every time Nukeduck tries to move, caPs makes it as difficult as possible, and the second he tries to, caPs is like, hi, I'm here, you want to try that? Okay, I'll interrupt you, I'll charm you. So it was a big confidence pick for Nukeduck to lock this one in and believe that he could actually look for these roams, and caPs has basically said, no, I'm not allowing you to do that, and it's given G2 so much more control of this early game. They're extending their gold lead now to nearly 5k. That's going to be another Herald in their back pocket. They've already taken 2 outer towers down. They're looking for their third as they begin to stack up in the top lane.
The only difficulty for G2 is these Drakes that XL have been able to put under their belts. Hextech Soul is on the menu for XL if they can find it, but they are going to be probably about 4,000 gold in the whole 3 minutes from now when that third Drake does come up. Rift Herald now used in the top lane.
But look at the mid lane. Once again, I'm going to bring the mini-map up just because you can see that caPs is doing this every single time. He's keeping this constant pressure up so that he can either move up to join his team, but also give control over this side of the jungle to the rest of his team. It just makes the G2 top side that much safer, and it forces XL to have to deal with multiple points of pressure. G2 working very well around these 2 lanes, and so far in this early to mid transition, have very good control.
caPs was in the shop there for a second. Cyclone's away, Charm goes in as well. Good Everfrost, Orbital Deception and the Spirit Rush used. caPs will escape without burning. A Summoner did have to use his ultimate. Marcoon might look for Jankos. Jankos, of course, has the Stormbringer and can just run away from the lack of CC that XL demonstrate.
So XL will buy a little bit of time. Interrupting caPs' back means that he cannot go and catch that bot wave. So farm will be lost. A small win for XL. And we'll give them a bit of tempo on the map to potentially threaten this mid tower, but without many members, unlikely to secure it. You can see a large wave does end up getting dropped, but G2, they're not going to be too upset about that.
I mean, caPs is 200 CS 18 minutes in. I'm pretty sure he's farming well enough for the moment.
And look at this, Void Staff second as well. You can see the triple Merc Treads picked up on the side of XL. Pretty common, especially against a Volibear with his stun, the Lulu, and against the Ari Charm. The Merc Treads does make a lot of sense, so he's just decided to go for that early magic penetration so that he has that extra bit of damage. 2 items completed on the Ari, as you rightly said. Very powerful indeed. And yeah, we've been talking a lot about G2. This really has been the G2 show in the early game. But when we think about XL, it's all about Patrick. He becomes that late game insurance for the team. If they're going to find a way back in, it's going to be this man in the bot lane to do it.
Yeah, still unkilled so far in summer. He has had some very strong performances. Just think about yesterday on the Kalista. He was in a really good position, and now we'll have to see how well he is able to play this mid game, because he hasn't really been threatened too much in the early game. There was that one gank down towards the bottom side that burnt Mickey's flash and tried to catch him out, but for the moment, Patrick has been free farming, and he can do a lot of work on this Ezreal. All Ezreals can, as caPs looks for the charm, dodge to the side. Tidal Wave used as well by Mickey to disengage.
Good sidestep there from Patrick. He doesn't burn the cleanse or the flash. A lot of confidence there, as caPs was the one chasing him down. But as you rightly said, Patrick is going to be that guy that if anyone's going to carry it, it will be him. He's continuing to scale up on the Ezreal for now. Of course, XL still in a great position when it comes to Drakes. They have control over the mid wave, which means that they do have access down into that river, but someone needs to go and deal with that bot lane. In fact, XL is just going to abandon it. The TP going to be invested from Finn. They want to secure this Drake. Their win condition is very clear. If they can get themselves that Hextech Soul. Now look at G2's response. They're saying, we don't need the mid... we don't need the river control right now. Let's get mid control. And now look at how they gain more access into XL's jungle. They're the ones that are fighting for space. They're feeling very confident. And this is where Patrick's poke is very important. Can he land it, or can G2 find the engage?
caPs, no ultimate. Jankos pops the Predator, looking for something. No real vision for XL. They're just chucking skills at random to see if they can find someone. Dragon started. Control ward in the pit by Jankos. Stormbringer in. Could get him into the middle of that caPs. Spirit Rush still not off cooldown. Patrick trying to put the damage down. Cannon Barrage being used as well. He jumps away from the culling. Flacker takes a bit of chunk as Finn and Markuna still in the pit. The Cannon Barrage dodged safely there by XL. Nukeduck looking for the stun card, but Jankos steals it. Stormbringer in, jumps out, dies. Finn will fall as well, and now Patrick has to get away from Flacker, just survives. XL split, Nukeduck down, caPs. You're gonna go for it. Patrick looking for the damage, but caPs takes him. G2, Jankos steals it. G2 clean up the fight, 9-1 now. G2 in command of this game.
Beautiful fight from G2. They dodge all of the Ezreal poke, and Jankos does what he does best, comes up clutch. Look at the patience here from G2. They know they don't have to overcommit, and the Gangplank ultimate is used to kind of separate XL. Look how the 3 members on the right-hand side are forced to disengage, while 2 are left isolated in the pit. The Dragon is doing the work for G2 as it just chunks out Finn. Then Jankos knows that he can gain his way in, uses his ultimate plus the smite to secure it. caPs then comes in afterwards to pick apart the weak members. Markuna overcommits over the wall to get that kill, but it leaves the rest of XL out to dry. And G2, they play patiently, they play it well, and XL, they fall apart.
Smart stuff by caPs as well, not just to face check into that tri-bush. The far side alteration goes down, I think, from Flacker, and just gave them that little bit of extra vision. And now 8,000 gold ahead, G2 in commanding position, looking to go undefeated in week 1 here of the LEC summer season.
Just an impressive game all around from caPs. Been involved of 7 of the 9 kills. His CS numbers were overtaken by Flacker, props to him. But level 14, 2 levels ahead of Nukeduck. This will be a big stun onto Jankos, but he doesn't care. caPs.
Good look for the chase. There's Spirit Rush available once again. Patrick's going to try and jump away. Tidal Wave used. Stun card goes in. Cleanse away by caPs.
Ooh. Big damage onto Patrick there.
And Patrick's going to get healed up with the ebb and flow. Patrick could look for the damage on caPs. caPs splashes in the middle of the pit, though the Destiny gets behind him, and the True Shot Rush comes in as well. Nukeduck will pay for this with his life. The Baron ticking, 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 ticking. And Nukeduck survives. And in the battle of the 2 ducks, Nukeduck beats out Blackhead and couldn't quite claim the kill. Finn trading onto Broken Blade. Cannon Barrage flash forward, trial by fire. Finn doesn't have the needles. Broken Blade takes him out.
Wow, the grievous wounds, I feel, coming up clutch there for Broken Blade, mitigating what could have been a massive heal from Finn's final ultimate. It wasn't quite enough. Broken Blade secures the kill. caPs ends up dropping on the other side. Nukeduck still very low, wants to be able to get this push out. XL, props to them, still looking for picks, still trying to fight their way back into the game, but the goal difference is still very significant. 6.5k is the lead that G2 have right now. That will be caPs' first death of the game. Just when you think that there's a big positive for XL, it ends up falling apart. So let's have a look at this. The cleanse a little bit late there from caPs, ends up taking a lot of damage. Patrick the same in exchange. Then they decide, let's commit onto Marcoon, and props to Patrick. We talked about him being the superstar, but look at the damage he's able to get out onto caPs. He then flashes over. Nukeduck with a very good ultimate to predict where he's going, then flashes away to safety. And then you think, oh, Sunshine and Rainbows for XL. Maybe they could even threaten a Baron here, get another favorable fight. But in the bot side of the map, we saw a big solo kill going in favor of Broken Blade. Well played from both sides there, but still G2 the ones in control. Next Dragon spawning in about 1 minute and 50 seconds. And G2 for the time being contesting the mid wave and control over the Baron River.
Nukeduck does have the rapid fire cannon. Can try and put the stun cards out from range. You can see the damage already coming from Broken Blade as well. Collector, Triforce, and the Mortal Reminder complete. True Shot Barrage.
Nice side step.
Just clipped the heels of Targamas as Jankos could look for something. Brings down the Lightning. Finn recalling down towards the bottom side. He stopped his reset.
Look at bot lane, look at bot lane.
Nukeduck has TP here. Do you go for anything?
caPs is catching this wave and doesn't have the TP. Nukeduck, he's not in a great position to be able to collapse. Finn, I don't really think he can do anything here as long as caPs has ultimate Everfrost, and he's literally just going to watch him walk away. All right,
but they know exactly when he walked away, Veddy.
True, but Finn's going to walk over a ward, and now caPs is going to be like, oh.
Oh, Finn's now. caPs has gone for the long flank.
And the caPs is actually going, oh.
That was a juicy bit of Gwent down towards this bottom lane. caPs looking for the Everfrost. Hallowed Path comes out. Hallowed Mist. Trade coming back in, and Finn is able to dodge his way away. The Destiny, of course, dissuading caPs and Broken Blade from going any further.
Ultimate comes out from Patrick.
The build is now complete on him as well. If he's given time to poke, it'd be pretty deadly. Can stop the engage potential from G2.
Definitely, definitely, but again, it comes back to this Gangplank ultimate and how much zoning power it can offer when it actually comes to the engage from G2. Patrick is lethal if he's left uncontested when it comes to the poke, but the moment that Gangplank ultimate comes down, you can't ignore it. You can't just tank it up. It really does hurt. So it's going to force Patrick to move and either posture more aggressively, which could give G2 an opportunity to flash engage from Jankos, for example, or force him to retreat, and that is G2's window as they look for another pick on the Finn.
Gonna try and get away, but the charm's gonna land, and Finn really doesn't have anywhere to go here. The chase is on, and caPs and Broken Blade find the kill in the bottom lane.
And the problem is, XL, they can't get any cross-map because look at how deep this play is. Look at how much vision control G2 actually have around that bot side of the map. All of these deep wards invested to just limit what XL can see. They're able to find themselves under the pick, and now XL is forced to respond because the risk of a Baron is real, but perhaps they know the Jankos is on the Drake. Are they going to try and force this? It looks like they're not. Nukeduck's going to back.
I thought that was why Finn stepped up in the end. Like, it's like they're all at Dragon, they're doing it right now. I can step up and clear this wave, and then caPs and Broken Blade obviously just waiting. XL perhaps had a brief moment where they could have immediately rushed towards the Baron, but with Hextech gates, it's a bit difficult to do that. That was close. Obviously no vision there on Flaccid, so that was just blind from Patrick.
I mean, the good news for XL is they're able to get a bit of vision down towards the Baron. They can reset, replenish their vision. You can see 3 items finish Nukeduck, means that his long-range stuns are now an option. And Lifesteal coming out for Patrick, definitely going to help him in the event that he does take a little bit of poke. But XL are continuing to get stronger, but the gold gap is very significant. Broken Blade is becoming more and more of a problem, and Finn really feels irrelevant at this point, especially when it comes to these fights. I'm not sure how much value he's really going to be able to offer, and you look at the gold difference, and you can see it's pretty dramatic. 4,000 in the favor of Broken Blade.
And you look at Flaccid as well. Like, he's ahead of Patrick in terms of damage, and we haven't really talked about, in terms of gold, sorry. We haven't really talked about him too much, farming up a Storm at over 300 at the 27-minute mark. Very impressive by him. Being funneled a lot of gold by his team, of course, but after the early laning phase where Flaccid was kind of left on an island, felt like it was going to be the Patrick show, and that's 2. He's looking for more as he jumps forward, and that's the damage that can come out from an Ezreal here. Tidal Wave used as well. caPs going to go up and eat the Honey Fruit. XL trying to gain some vision control, but just a couple of Mystic shots is all it takes from Patrick.
So this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. If XL is going to come back into this game, it's off the back of Patrick and him landing those skill shots. Around the Dragon, G2 did a great job of ignoring and avoiding that damage, but around the Baron, Patrick is feeling way more confident. You saw he landed every single Q onto caPs there, forced him to immediately disengage. And look, he's going to continue to land this poke. Ezreal is so scary later into the game, especially when empowered by an enchanter. Even at this deficit, Patrick is the win condition, is the person that can save the game for XL.
It's his most played all time. Doesn't have the best win rate on it, 21 games, only a 30% win rate, but obviously Patrick has never really been on a team near the top of the table.
Well, there was Origin.
There was Origin.
That one final that he was in.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think Patrick for a long time has been regarded as a very talented AD carry. I mean, last split he was even in our top 3 All-Pro.
Yep.
He's someone you definitely can't afford to underestimate. But of course, he is playing up against caPs and the current LEC champions of G2 Esports, a team that knows how to play with the lead. They're in a confident position right now, and it's up to them not to throw it away. Dragon spawned in about 2 minutes time. Baron is of course up and available. You can see what I like to call the light bulb, as XL have drawn a lovely little light bulb for us in the top side jungle. A lot of vision invested to make sure they can maintain control. Obviously, a lot of these are zombie wards, as they cleared out the vision invested from G2. But the dance begins once again. Nukeduck going to quickly go back to base. Right now, doesn't have the teleport available. We'll have that exhaust up and the ultimate as well. 16 to 14 in favor of caPs, and the pressure continues to mount.
And G2 really need XL to overstep somewhere for them to walk over a ward to find a pick. Otherwise, Patrick can play at arm's length, play quite long distance, and keep G2 from starting up that Baron. They can't really do it unless they've already killed off Patrick, or at least a couple of members of XL. caPs here trying to work his way towards the top lane. Finn still only level 14 on this Gwen. Has really been shut out of the game. You can tell 0-5-1. Gwen does become stronger as the game goes on, but if your whole item behind your opposition, it becomes very tricky for you to have too much of an impact.
Just looking across the board right now, letting the tension sit. G2 have such a massive goal lead, but you feel like the game is still close.
Yeah.
Largely because of the items that are sitting on the mid.
Patrick dash forward, that's the culling.
It's a big investment for Patrick
Cannon
there.
barrage coming out as well. Tidal wave used. Marcoon is low. Jankos comes into the backline. Stormbringer used as well by him. Marcoon still surviving somehow. Jankos posts a stopwatch. Patrick trying to get away as Finn and caPs are fighting off towards the top side. That's 2. Blackhead takes them both. Finn trying to trade onto caPs, but caPs has the Spirit Rush still, and the rest of G2 can close in. Patrick and Mickey have to do everything in this fight if they're able to find anything. Perhaps they can find the game or some semblance of hope for XL, but Finn, he tried to fight against caPs, and the rest of G2 do not like that one jot. He will fall. Patrick, though, sees all of G2 low, and maybe he can hold them off from doing this Baron. caPs still has the flash. Patrick has cleanse, no flash for himself. Flash away by Mickey as caPs looked for his former support, couldn't find him.
And I think that it was Patrick's mistake there that opened the window for G2. He E'd over the wall. I believe it was over the wall, but it was aggressive nonetheless.
Yeah, E'd forward here.
Yeah, and you can see that without that available, Marcoon then tries to body block him. That puts him in danger. Patrick is forced to flash to safety, and Jankos sees that as a window to engage. Has the stopwatch to buy time, allows G2 to reposition, and caPs is getting bullied out by Finn on the Gwen. But with the damage done on the front line and Patrick being forced to disengage,
What's a rush?
G2 the opportunity to
Jankos
fight.
is here. He stole the last one. Can he steal this one? Of course he can! Of course he can! It's Jankos! But maybe he's a little bit overextended from the rest of his team. Wild Growth will heal him up for the moment. Marcoon's going to take him down. caPs coming into the back line. Nukeduck is there as well. Looks for the red card, can't find it. caPs going in. Mickey low. Finn diving forward, dodges away from the charm. 1-for-1 so far as Jankos has fallen. Marcoon's still alive, though. XL have a window where you could look towards a Baron.
Mickey very low though, has no mana. It would be very dangerous. I like the idea there from XL, but Jankos, he's just a smite machine today. He will not be usurped. I'm gonna get a quick look back at this. So XL in this brief window was able to rush this one down. Jankos walks up, smites it, steals it away. Look at the barrel here from Broken Blade. Immediately chunks out Nukeduck, but a great Everfrost buys his team a lot of time to get that initial kill into Jankos. Then when caPs joins the fray, Nukeduck is isolated. A good culling coming out from Flackhead means that XL's forced to disengage, and while Finn did invest the TP, he wasn't really able to offer much else. Not the easiest game for Finn to play, but he definitely has struggled. 0-6, only 2 items completed. Now has grabbed the stopwatch. Meanwhile, Broken Blade working on his 5th item, 5-0 and 4. This is one of the concerns I did have with this Gwen. Like, very little utility. You have a lot of kiting on the side of G2, and then you throw Lulu on top of that. Can be a good matchup into the Gangplank, but in terms of the comp, makes it very difficult to play and actually get onto the back line. Still though, Patrick's alive.
Yeah.
And that's the main win condition right now. XL, he is the reason why it is difficult for G2 to just straight up end the game. And G2, they need to kill Patrick if they want to be able to close this one out.
And on the other side, XL needs to kill Broken Blade, caPs, and Flackhead to close this one out. Flackhead's still unkilled in this game. 700 gold bounty on him, 4 items complete after a laning phase where he was kind of left to dry by his team, where he just had to give up waves. Hams could have struggled, but Nuke Duck with the gold card locked in. Mickey slow there. Blackett goes in. Patrick low. Cannon Barrage coming in as well. And Patrick's down! Quack! Quack! Blackett finds it! And after a quiet game, what better way to announce yourself on the stage? Blackett with a double. It was his culling that culled XL's hopes of taking anything.
Flawless execution. Patrick's flash still was not back up, and G2 took advantage of that. The combo with the culling coming out from the Gangplank ultimate was flawless. G2 18 kills to 3 can finally knock on the nexus of XL.
And only one of these two could remain undefeated, and it's the team on the blue side, it seems. Marcoon trying to defend. Charm hits through the decoy. Wave cleared out, though, by Nuke Duck, and maybe G2 have to wait a couple of more minutes before they can close this one out. The wave is here, but they might just look for the inhibitor in the mid lane instead.
Patrick will be respawning. G2, though, comes the ultimate. Big damage.
Clears the wave as well.
G2 gonna choose to disengage, so XL, they have a small chance. They still have their Nexus alive, but G2 have dealt some serious damage. This will make ending the game much easier now that the inhibitor's been taken down. XL, they're making the call. Can they get this pick onto Jankos?
Stormbringer not available for Jankos, no flash either. Nuke Duck looking for the damage, but of course not too much. It's gonna go for that blast go, knocks Jankos back, another gold card locked in, and now Jankos killed. His back was delayed by the True Shot Barrage, and XL are calling G2 to fight in the river. G2 will match this. Marcoon is not there. The True Shot Barrage comes out. Caps slow. Patrick trying to put the damage down. Finn tanking it up. Cannon Barrage will dissuade them from continuing the Baron. 30 seconds on Jankos. Patrick still looking for damage across the wall. The stun card lands, but a dash away by Blackett is enough. The charm, the cleanse. Patrick's still alive. The culling coming out, and Mickey will tank it. He'll die for it. Mickey sacrifices himself for his AD carry, but once again, Patrick just a little bit too far forward.
And Caps does it once again. He finds Patrick, forces him to flash and cleanse to safety. And now this should be a Baron going in favor of G2. They don't need their jungler to keep this objective alive. And XL, try as they might, it is not enough to take down G2. Baron secured for G2 Esports.
And 40 seconds on a Hextech Soul for them as well. Quad Hextech Drakes into a Soul. You can see what XL were thinking. They're like, we catch the jungler. We know G2 are resetting. It's well played by them. But that Cannon Barrage just stopped any chance of this working.
Yeah, I mean, also Finn tanking up the Baron. Look at how much damage he takes. No true tank here from XL, and Patrick mainly focusing on poke rather than dealing damage. The moment he invests his E, Caps leveraging the control ward and that fog of war to chunk him out. Mickey no flash available means that XL end up falling apart.
And it seems like whatever you try and do, G2 are still there to match you on the bounce back. 20 kills to 4. Game has been closer than the scoreline suggests, but for the last 10, 15 minutes or so, G2 have very much been in the driver's seat in the ascendancy, and now with a Hextech Soul, it's going to become even trickier for XL to navigate the next few moments, what could be their last moments of week 1.
A good game across the board from G2, really. No egregious errors that I can think of.
Yeah.
Having a 20 kills to 4 scoreline, you'd expect the game to be swifter, I would say. But again, we talked a lot about how this edge roll has made the life difficult for G2. The concern around the siege. But now that they have the Baron, now that they're able to just chip away at Patrick's health bar, they are not concerned in the slightest. G2 making their way to end the Super Week on a 3-0.
There's the charm. Marcoon caught up with the Everfrost as well. Jankos could go in. Stormbringer, of course, disables the tower. Blackett stepping in as well. Broken Blade pushing in the bottom lane. Trying to bring those single super minion in. Marcoon will reset. Blackett has the rapid fire. And the culling. And that's some rapid fire to boot. Cannon Barrage goes down. Mickey low. Nuke Duck just dead. Where he stands, Mickey gets back to the fountain, but on it he dies. Patrick dives back. Caps kills him. G2 rout XL in their base. Caps gets the triple, gets the quadra to round it out. And all G2 stay alive and take an undefeated week 1.
They don't need much of a break. G2 still on form here in the LEC, starting their Super Week off with a 3-0. And sure, they've had some shaky games, they've had some mixed performances, but overall, you cannot deny that this team's still looking good. And what a great way to end your week as well, with the momentum that XL was riding on. Expectations were that some people would even predict XL to win this game, especially with the early games that they've demonstrated, an early game being one of G2's weaknesses, but they mitigated the early plays that XL tried to make. The Caps was phenomenal in the isolated matchup. Targamas was ahead in every single play. And overall, just a really great performance. XL will drop now to 0-3 versus G2 this year.
Yes, not this week. They're 2-1 this week.
year,
They've had a pretty good week
yes.
so far. Give them credit where it's due. Your key player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter. Broken Blade, Jankos, and caPs are your options. I think caPs is early game. Jankos is Dragon Steals. Broken Blades. Yahars.
Yeah, there's great options all across the board. Really, as we mentioned in the cast, like, very difficult to point out flaws within the G2 game plan. You could argue that, hey, maybe they could have been more aggressive with the goal lead that they had. Maybe they could have forced more objectives, but wanting to play it patiently, take their time, I think is something that we're seeing from a lot of teams in the early weeks. And I really do think they were afraid of that Ezreal playing around these objectives. It's very easy for an Ezreal to just chip away at your health bar. And notice that it was never G2 to start the objectives, it was always XL, and then G2 would come into them and leverage that Gangplank ultimate. So props to them. I think they played it very well. And XL, they shouldn't be too disappointed with this loss. It's still 2-1.
Lost to the champions of the LEC,
Exactly.
right?
It's still a great start to the split. Still, I think they can continue to ride that momentum. And I think that a lot of people will keep their eyes on XL. And I think they can be pretty happy with how things have started. So good performance overall.
Yeah,
but
I agree with
G2 are going to take the dub.
They are. They've taken the dub. They've gone away with it. They'll take it home, have a week of rest, and then maybe bring more dubs back next week.
Perhaps.
Maybe some wubs as well. Wub, dub,
I'm
dub,
not
dubs.
a fan. Did you?
You just want the dubs. You don't want the wubs.
No, I'm not a fan of dubbity wub.
Wubbity wubbity.
Dubbity wub.
What are you a fan of then?
I'm more of an EDM kind of guy.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's pretty wubby dubby.
No,
it's
'cause-
not full dubby wubby, but it's a little bit of.
Nah.
All right.
This is what we feel when we're waiting for the interview to be ready.
Yeah, also when I've cast 4 games in a row. Anyway, I believe Law is standing by with the victorious caPs. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Medic. caPs, thank you for joining me after this game. You both came undefeated today, XL. And coming into today, we were thinking they're looking like one of the strongest teams in the LEC. What was your take on them before playing the team?
I mean, I think XL looked really strong in
Yeah.
the first 2 games. I think XL was actually like a lot stronger in scrims last split than a lot of other teams. So I was actually surprised at how poorly they performed in playoffs. And I'm happy to see that they had a very strong start in the summer split, because they also helped us out a bunch at MSI and were one of the few EU teams to actually scrim with us and give us like practice for MSI.
You supporting each other. But how about G2? Because you came into this week, when I had a talk with Dylan, he told me we didn't have much prep, we don't know about the meta. 3-0 seems to be a decent enough result. So what's your take on the result and how well you performed?
I mean, I'm super happy with the results. I think for sure we're not, I don't even think right now we're like completely sold on the meta. The first day, a fan in the crowd said like, play Zoe, and I was like, I guess I'll play Zoe today. So I think we're still trying some different things. But it worked out so far, and it is also B1, which is very volatile and can go either way. Also why we're taking it very slow, some of these games. But I'm just happy that we won, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, hopefully, and nice that you play for the fans also and listen to them on the picks that they choose. But talking to Targamas yesterday, we were talking about G2's early game and how you had to improve on that. But I want to say you guys have impeccable macro so far. Is there anything you have worked on specifically to get better in the early game?
I mean, there's a bunch of things that I don't want to like necessarily maybe go into, but I think a lot of the time it's just like a lot of League is just like knowing how to use like, I guess, jungle especially, but also like support and mid, and figuring out like which lanes we want to dive or like help push out, or maybe we want to do an invade, like these kind of things, and like knowing the timings. Sometimes maybe we didn't do it that well, but we're slowly getting better, and hopefully by playoffs, hopefully by Worlds, we'll be a good early game team.
Good early game team and a different beast for sure. But more about you, caPs. You had an amazing early game, insane stats. You've been performing really well, honestly, throughout the weekend. And I know that the audience can have an impact on you usually. So the fact that we're going to have these guys every week this summer, do you think it's going to boost you?
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's awesome to see the support. There was even some Dark Passage fans today from my first stage game with actual fans. So it took me back to the old days, and it's just awesome to have the support from you guys. It just makes it so much better. The last few years have been a bit sad, but this year we're stepping up our level, and with you guys cheering, that's just amazing.
Wonderful. And we trust you guys to keep on giving him ideas for picks later, because we know how crazy your drafts can get. But caPs, thank you so much for this interview. Congrats on the 3-0 this week so far. And back to you guys in the studio for more on that game.
You guys are the real heroes.
I'm gonna pretend he was talking to us.
I was about to say, did he talk to us?
Thank you, random citizen.
Oh my gosh, he's so precious. Like, protect him at all costs. Just
that's my Nightmare approved Ari player.
That's your Nightmare
that's my guy.
approved Ari. That's really great. Oh, just he's also the Kia player of the game, and that will make Nightmare very, very happy. I think completely deserved. It's true though what he said. He said I was a little bit sad the last few years because he's the kind of player that very much thrives on performing well in front of an audience. You know, when the pressure is highest, and you see it in his performance so far this week.
And we saw it not just this week, but in playoffs too. It just seems like another breath of life a second win has come into, not just caPs. Of course, he's one of the first and foremost people to speak about it. Whole teams looked alive through him, and it's great to see, you know, the Western GOAT back on form.
Yeah, great to see caPs smiling. It brightens up everyone's day, but there's a lot more about G2 that went well. We thought this would be a hotly contested game versus XL, but they kind of set XL away quite handily. I know that you two have a couple of things you want to look at, and Aymira, you want to start off by highlighting Jankos.
Yeah, so I'll set up the pins so you can go knock them down later. But where it really started was right at the start, that setup, because we've heard a lot of people bemoaning the patch, the meta, the durability patch, thinking, oh, no one can do anything early game anymore. Well, turns out G2 can, and a lot of it's through Jankos. He goes top. He ends up finding himself in the thick of things. He's taken Predator on Volleybet. He's fixed things up early. And now, this first play, no, it's not necessarily always on the winning foot, but then he goes bot lane. He does exactly the same kind of thing again, just makes his presence known, is active on the map, and no, it's not necessarily tower dives, but he's finding the right angles. And for me, just the ability to make sure that the early game isn't just a sleeper 15 minutes and then you turn up to third dragon is really important for a team which has typically been a very explosive team like G2 to kind of show up again in this new meta where it's meant to be harder.
And I think we have to mention as well the power of Volleybet, right? Because a lot of the teams, especially like seeing a lot of the LPLs, the LCKs, the ERLs started before the LEC as well. I feel like a lot of the teams with the 12-10, 12-11, they forgot about Volleybet. It's like he makes things happen for you on the map. And I want to highlight exactly how G2 use their macro, they use their Volleybet, and they use Jankos in creating that pressure. Hello.
She went too fast for the camera.
Let's roll the clip and bring in the illustrator because I want to show you guys that G2's macro has never been short of in the early game. And caPs mentioned it as well in his interview. He was like, very key points when you want to play fast-paced early game and use your macro is support, mid, and jungle. And that's exactly what G2 are doing right here. If I'm bringing up the minimap for you guys, you'll see that Targamas is already on his way to the mid lane. You'll see that Jankos is pathing all the way to the top side of the map. And most importantly, as I keep playing this clip, you'll see that the top lane matchup as Jankos goes towards the top side of the map is a level 5 Gwen versus a level 6 Gangplank. Now this right here is the perfect window for Broken Blade and Jankos to actually make a play towards the top side of the map. So what will Jankos do? He will clear the ward. He will not back out though. He will move in for that play. They will actually kill Finn here. They will even chase away Makoon because Broken Blade gets a triumph, gets that extra healing from his W as well. But look at mid lane. While this is going on, Nukeduck is trying to ult towards the top side of the map. What does caPs do? He says, no sir, cancels the ultimate. But that's not even it. I'm gonna stop it right here and bring up the minimap as well. So as you can see, Nami has backed because she was in the mid lane. She's gone all the way towards the bot side of the map. What does Targamas do? We know that Targamas loves Storm. So he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna go towards my bot side, try to help my Lucian crush in the wave. No, that's not the case, because as he's there, he literally just stops and goes back to mid and tries to abuse the fact that Nukeduck oversteps his welcome, gets caught. You'll see that Jankos assists on that play as well. And here are the 3 key components that caPs talked about. Mid, jungle, and support coordinating so perfectly on the map. No one lost anything. Lucian was safe in the bot lane. They got 2 kills out of that, 2 pressure lanes, a bunch of golden experience lost for your opponent, and I think this is how G2 bleed their opponents.
Beautiful to see.
Dare I add in a fact from MSI as well, because one of the strongest things when they were on that win streak was they were so good at chaining plays together. They'd immediately have something set up after the big play. Right there, great example of it. They got 3 things back to back to back. It's great to see them retaining that into this split.
Yeah, they said they might have an MSI hangover, but they haven't forgotten their macro.
caPs mentioned Worlds, so...
Thank you for that breakdown. And a 3-0 for G2, an impeccable week 1. And after the break, we'll have Rogue face off off against the Mad Lions? Can Niski and the crew stay undefeated this summer and join G2 at the top? Find out after this.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Unforgiven balls, double plus, and you have to feel that's game through.
Niski is a massive upgrade. It's gonna be a bit harder, but I still feel like their top and bot is heavily exploitable.
Mad Lions is the type of team that will look to play more like G2. I think like they will just free Niski and look to play on sides a lot, right? I feel like as long as we have again a winning mid lane, it should be really rough for them to play the game.